Hello guys, Kevin Rogers. Welcome back to the channel. And as always, thank you for subscribing. Our last video there, cold water crappie, had a lot of views. I appreciate that. For you bass fishing guys, stay with me. For you crappie fishing guys, stay with me. I'm going to do both. I love fishing. I don't care what it is. And I'm on a videotape. Try to give you one a week. Tournament season coming up here. It'll be a little hard to do. But I have a topic today I want to share. I posted this photo right here on social media, and it was an explosion. I had over 6 million views of this photo, and it brings me to a topic I'd like to share with you today. Okay, the topic I want to share with you guys, after I posted this picture, I couldn't believe the responses I was getting by the simple photo that I posted on my social media. The comments were unbelievable to me. It was photoshopped, fake, can't be real. And it got me thinking, there are people in this world that truly believe stringers of crappie like this cannot be obtained. And it brings me a topic, and I want to give you my #1 tip for anyone trying to catch a crappie of a lifetime. One tip I can give you, the best tip I can give you, I want to share with you right now. So if you're a tournament crappie guy, you already probably know this tip. Swipe on, go somewhere else. All you other folks, okay, now that all those people are gone, #1 tip to catch a world-class crappie is location. It's that simple. Pretty simplistic, not that big a deal. You have to go to the right location. What do I mean by that? If you live in Nebraska, Wyoming, Iowa, Ohio, those are just examples, you're not going to be able to catch a stringer like I posted on social media because the crappie don't live there. They don't live in those lakes. I'm not saying 1 or 2 or 5 giant crappie don't live in those states. Of course they do. They live in every state. But to increase your odds, to put the odds in your favor, you have to go to lakes that produce giant crappie. It's that simple. It's amazing on my social media. People will reach out to me via direct messenger and say, hey, Kevin, how's the fishing in Texas? How's the fishing at Lake Fork? How's the fishing at Lake of the Pines? I live 8.5 hours from those lakes. I live in Kansas City, Missouri. I don't know. And people just assume I go there because I am willing to get in my truck and travel 8.5 hours to catch those giant crappie. That's what I'm committed to. I've been committed to that for 10 years. Where I live here in Missouri, I have an awesome fishery in Truman Lake. Truman Lake's my home lake. You still can't catch stringers of 2.5-pound crappie at Truman Lake. I mean, 30 of them. That's impossible. There's just not enough of them. Truman Lake is an amazing fishery. I put it in the top 10 best fisheries in the United States because the population of crappie is amazing. But to catch a unicorn, to catch one of those unicorn crappie, you got to be fishing where the unicorns live. And I'm talking about a 3-pound plus crappie. Guys, I have tournament crappie fished for 30 years with my father. We've won 30 different crappie tournaments in 5 different states. I have caught a total number of 12 3-pound crappie. 12. Why is that? Because I live in Missouri. There isn't a ton of 3-pound crappie around here. I can't spend every single time I go crappie fishing, I can't go to Texas or Mississippi. It's not feasible. It doesn't. But when I have free time, I head down there because I'm in search of one of these giant crappie. Does that make sense to you guys? I have won, 20 plus crappie terms at Truman Lake. Me and my father have. We've never caught a 3-pounder there, ever. Do they exist? Sure. Not a bunch of them. So if that makes sense, I spend more time on Truman here in Missouri than I do Lake Fork or Lake of the Pines or Grenada or Millwood or any of these lakes. So you got to put the odds in your favor, right? If you want to catch a giant crappie, you got to fish where they live. It's that simple. I'm not picking on Wyoming, Nebraska, Iowa, and Ohio, but those lakes don't produce those giant crappie. The southern lakes produce bigger fish because it stays warmer. The lakes don't freeze over solid like my lake just did here in Missouri. Froze completely solid. You could walk on it. That isn't a place that you're going to produce giant world-class crappie. So it's that simplistic. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Location, location, location. If you want to catch these, you've got to get in your vehicle and you've got to be able to go from Indianapolis and drive down to Lake Fork or Grenada, Mississippi. Pretty simple, right? Grenada, Mississippi. If you spent March 1 through the end of March, the whole entire month there, fishing every single day, your odds are pretty freaking good. You're going to catch a couple 2-pound or couple 3-pound crappie. I mean, the odds are great because there's a bunch of them in the lake. If you spent that same exact time at Rathbun, Iowa, right? March 1st, end of March, you're going to catch 0 3-pounders. The odds aren't there. It probably doesn't even have a 3-pound crappie in it. You have to go where they live. And there's scenarios. Let me give you the state of Texas. Let me give you Lake of the Pines and Lake Fork sitting right here in Texas, full of 2.5-pound crappie, 2.5, 2 3/4 pound crappie. Go a little bit farther south to Lake Palestine, however you want to say it, tomato, however you want to say it. Doesn't have the same size crappie as these other lakes, as Lake Fork or Lake of Pines. Why? I don't know. It just doesn't. So you got to know where these big crappie live, if that makes sense. Something I want to preface, the stringer, me holding these fish up, I had to keep those fish. It was a lake law. I had to keep those fish by the time of year it is. They're thinking you're catching them so stinking deep, you're giving them bends. Turns out I only caught them 14 foot deep. None of them would have died. I could have thrown all of them back, would have been fine. But I had to keep my limit because I did a post on my Facebook of me catching about a 2.5-pound crappie, and I released the crappie. I said, catch and release for crappie, and I forgot it was the time of year you're supposed to keep every one of them. And somebody called the game warden on me. Somebody called the game warden on me for keeping crappie, so I had to keep them, right? They're looking out for me, make sure I'm keeping my limit, which is the dumbest law ever in the history of crappie fishing. But regardless, that's why I had those stringers of crappie. You're going to make me keep them. Here they are. I wanted to show the world how dumb that really is. I love catching and releasing the crappie, right? 10 to 11-inch crappie is all we want to eat. I throw the big ones back. You do you, right? Can't tell anybody what to do. My point of this video is location, location, location. You got to go where the big ones live. So that's my tip. I just want to do this real quick. I had a little bit of time. I'm getting ready to get packed up. The truck's packed, the boat's packed. I'm getting ready to head out of here and head to my first professional bass fishing tournament. So you bass guys follow? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm clueless. I'm going to learn as you learn, and I'm going to put it out there for you guys to see my horrible mistakes I'm getting ready to do in this thing. 30 years of tournament crappie fishing. Oh, I'm done with the tournament crappie fishing. The reason I'm done is because my dad's done, right? He's 70 plus years old. He the driving 8 hours to get to the location, fishing sunlight to dark, and then standing behind me to watch me line scope. Why would you do that at 7 years old? So he's done, I'm done. I don't want to do it without him. So now it gives me an opportunity to go chase this bass stream. I'll never quit crappie fishing. A lot of crappie fishing videos. I'm going to crappie fish the rest of my life, and I want to share it. This is part 1 of this video. Later down the road, I want to give you part 2, and I want to give you the number 1 thing I can tell tournament crappie fishermen. So stay tuned for that. 5 different wins in 5 different states. And I'm going to give you exactly how I won all 5 of those. I'll even pull the maps out and I'll show you the locations. I don't have anything to hide. I'm going to show you guys where I caught these fish and what our mindset was for those 30 years when we went crappie fishing. That'll be a good tip for you. So stay tuned for that. That'll be massive. That'll be a pretty good tip that some of the young guys or someone new to the tournament crappie world, man, it'll save you a lot of hunting and pecking. And it's pretty specific and it dials it right in. And it has to do with location. So, location. You got to fish where they live. You're never going to catch a 3-pound crappie if you're not fishing a lake that has 3-pound crappie. So, there it is, guys. Stay tuned. I appreciate all the subscribers and your likes. Appreciate it. A lot of good stuff coming up. I can hear the frogs outside my house right now. I can hear them croaking. You know what that means. If you don't, when them frogs come out of that hibernation, they start croaking. Everybody in the springtime looks at the daytime temperature. Forget the daytime temperature. Forget it. Look at your nighttime temperature. If it stays above 50 degrees for 5 days in a row, you'll find some crappie and bass up shallow as get out. 50 degrees at night warms that water up a lot faster than an 80 degrees during the day. But if it gets 30 at night, you didn't gain anything. It can be 65 during the day, but if it stays above 50 all night long, look out now. They're going to be looking for a prom date. Thank you, guys.